All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday. Hopefully, you got caught up with stuff yesterday. You read the chapter, got caught up with other classes, all that good stuff. Today is another reading/work day. So, if you didn't read anything yesterday from the chapter, make sure you read that whole chapter because both options that you have to choose from are based on you reading the whole chapter. There was a bunch of questions yesterday on what do we choose? Do we have to do the flip grid the um, if we're doing the four panels? No. Okay. You have choice A or B. You can either choose to make an illustrated story telling how West Africa changed from an extended family community to kingdoms, or you can just tell the story. So either way, you're doing a story, but you're either choosing to write it down or illustrate it or just tell it. Okay. So if you're doing option A, then you have to do this four panel thing. But either way, the requirements are the same. Okay. You have to pretend like you're telling the story to a third grader to read and understand or listen and understand. So either way, we are telling a story like we're telling it to a third grader. So 3 years younger than us. Okay. And if you're doing the flip grid, it must be at least 2 minutes long. If you're doing the story, it must be 4 to 5 panels long. Okay. And that's why I put this example here. What else? Make sure you read the chapter. It's a little bit longer, but you had many days to work on it, basically the whole week. So let me just pull that chapter up for you. I'll read some of it here so you don't have to read it. Hold on, just pulling it up. All right, so we did the geography. That was the beginning part. Setting the stage, you already read that. These two maps, the different regions and vegetation zones. And we are in West Africa. The West African kingdoms are all in this West African area, which has a variety of different zones on this enormous continent. So once you get down to here, it's 6 pages. It's not that long. It's a 12-page long document, but this is only 6-page chapter with a lot of pictures and stuff. All right, so intro. In this unit, you will learn about West African culture from between 500 and 1600 CE. During this period, 3 kingdoms arose south of the Sahara: Ghana, Songhai, and Mali. In this chapter, you will explore how these kingdoms developed out of early societies in West Africa. People lived in West Africa for hundreds of thousands of years. For most of this time, historians do not have written records to study. Muslim scholars first began writing about the Kingdom of Ghana in the 800s. By then, Ghana was perhaps 300 years old, and perhaps much older. How did the first kingdoms come to be? Why did they develop where they did? To answer these questions, historians and archaeologists study many kinds of clues. For example, they look closely at geography. Natural features like rivers and vegetation can help explain where people chose to settle and what kind of life they created for themselves. Scholars also try to understand evidence from ancient settlements. How were villages and towns laid out? What can this tell us about life there? Artifacts also help provide clues. Iron tools, for example, show that farming methods improved in West Africa. Scholars have worked to understand how more efficient farming affected the growth of towns and cities. Gradually, scholars have pieced together a picture of how societies developed in West Africa. In this chapter, you will explore current thinking about the origins of West African kingdoms. You will discover how early family-based communities developed into villages and how some villages grew into towns and then cities, and you'll see how these cities became great kingdoms. So because they didn't have written records, we're kind of pretending we are in West Africa and West African historians. So we're either going to draw our history of how it became, how these family-based communities became kingdoms, basically following along with these 4 steps. Or you're going to tell the story, just like West Africans did before they had written records. So you're going to tell the story, how they came from small little villages and family-based communities to larger towns and villages and cities and then kingdoms. Okay, so we got geography and trade. You got early communities and villages, the development of towns and cities, talking about one specific ancient city, Gene Geno, the rise of kingdoms and empires, and there you go. It's about 5 pages long with a 1-page summary. So it's really not that bad, and we just read one together. So you got to read 4 more pages on your own. Very doable in today if you haven't read the chapter, and then you can work on it tomorrow. And the story is due, the illustrated story or the flipgrid is due Friday by the end of the day. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know on Google Hangouts. We're doing a great job. Looking forward to some awesome other creative stuff from you all. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.